Hey everybody, it's Flatbread Friday, and I had some cucumbers from my garden again, and it inspired me to think of a recipe for our flatbread this week, and we're gonna make a Gyro meatball flatbread with a drizzle of Tzatziki sauce that's made out of cucumbers as well, and some other toppings, and that's gonna be fun. Oh, and I'm gonna do it on little individual sized pitas. So individual Gyro flatbreads is what we're gonna have, and let's do it. These are the cucumbers we're gonna use for the tzatziki sauce, and we're gonna make that first. I have peeled them, and now we're gonna cut the seeds out of them. These are little, so they're not hugely seedy, but let's see how we do. What I usually do when I take the seeds out is cut them in quarters the long way and just cut the seeds out. And we will dispose of them. And after we're done seeding them, we are going to finely grate them. I've pulled out my grater, and now we're going to add our, I think we won't add them all. We'll do 2 batches. Our cucumber slices, put our top on, and I got to make room for our bowl. And now we're going to grate them up. Press a little, turn the handle, here they come. Our cucumbers are finely grated up, and now what we're going to do is add a little bit of salt, and we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes or so, and the salt will help exude the liquid from the cucumbers, and then we're going to squeeze them out. It's time for us to drain our cukes. I'm going to spread these out, and then I'm going to squeeze them out. But while we're doing that, the herbs we're using in our tzatziki are dill and mint. I do not grow either one of those, so we're using dried. And because we're using dried, what I'm gonna do is put a little drop of olive oil in our bowl and add our herbs to it. A teaspoon and a half of dill, a teaspoon and a half of mint, and by the time we get our cucumbers squeezed out and add the rest of our ingredients, those will be almost like fresh herbs. Here we go. We're going to roll them up and give it a squeeze. This is a double layer of paper towels. I hope it doesn't break. So we're going to squeeze from the bottom, gently around. And I think that's enough, but quite a bit of liquid came out of those. And now those are going in. Very gently, because we don't want paper in our tzatziki. But we want to get all the cucumbers that we can. And I think that's going to have to be enough. And hopefully it goes in with our herbs. It smells really good, looks really good, and now we're going to put the rest of our ingredients in. We have our cucumber and herb mixture. And in goes the juice, a couple tablespoons worth of fresh lemon juice, 1. And 2. And we have about a teaspoon and a half of some finely minced garlic. And now we're going to add some of the lemon zest from this lemon. I like my tzatziki lemony. Next comes a little sprinkle of salt and pepper. And 1 cup of Greek yogurt will be our final ingredient. In we go. We're going to whisk this together. And the reason I made the tzatziki first is because the longer this sits, the more these flavors will brighten. And so while we're making the rest of our flatbreads, it will give this a nice brightness. Here's our tzatziki sauce, creamy, smooth, and I would taste it right now, but I'm going to let it sit for a while and taste it in a little bit. We are now going to start our Gyro meatballs. And we're going to start with, I have a neighbor who bakes bread every week and then she goes around the neighborhood and sells it. This is her sourdough and it's a few days old, so I thought this is what I would use. We're going to cut off the crusts. Okay, and now we're going to add about 1/4 cup of milk and let this soak for a while. Now here comes our meat. Okay, here comes our meat. I was gonna do this with all ground beef because I couldn't find ground lamb in most of the stores that I go to until one day I went to the fresh market and they had some. So these Gyro meatballs are gonna be mostly lamb. This is our ground lamb. That meat that you saw me put in the bowl already, that was ground beef. So pound of lamb, 1/2 pound of beef. We're gonna mix them together with some other ingredients. And we're gonna make our meatball. First thing I'm gonna do is season this meat with some dried oregano, about a teaspoonful. A little shake of ground cumin, some salt and pepper. I had some fresh parsley in my garden, so that's going in too. Now I'm going to put on a pair of gloves and we're going to incorporate those seasonings. Go in. Mix them around. Next thing we're going to do some garlic. Quite a bit. Unless you don't like it, then don't use so much. Some finely chopped onion. We're gonna do a couple of beaten eggs. In goes our egg. The next thing we're gonna do is squeeze any excess milk out of our bread. Okay, and that is our entire meatball mixture. So in we go again. Here's our meatball mixture. It is sticky, which means it's going to form nice meatballs. But before I touch it again, I'm going to grease my hands because, as you can see, it's very sticky. So, but it's going to make nice meatballs, and we're going to do it. First thing we're going to do is portion our meatballs to make them all the same size. And we're going to start by spraying this guy with some non-stick cooking spray because, like I said, these things are sticky as heck. And we're going in, releasing them out. And let's keep going until we're done with them all. We got 13 meatballs, which means we're going to have to find something else to do with these once we're done with our flatbreads today because that's too many. But we will figure it out, and now we're going to form them into nice balls. Okay, we're going to continue rolling till we're all done. First thing we're going to do is sear our meatballs. And to give them a nice crispy outside, we're going to dredge them in flour. Shake off the excess. We're going to have to do them in batches because I don't think my pan can accommodate all of these. So we'll start with a few. Here are dredged up meatballs. I have a pan on medium heat with about 1/4 inch of oil in it, and that's heating up. But as I was dredging these, I decided that I think what I'm going to do is just cook those, and I'm going to take these and form them into a loaf and freeze it for future use and make a gyro sandwich with gyro meat. We'll form this into a loaf, and after it's cooked, you slice it in strips like gyro meat, and that's what we're gonna do with that. But now we're gonna fry our meatballs. Sizzling up nicely. Let's see how we're doing on the other side. Not browned enough yet. So we're gonna let them go a little bit longer. By the way, I've increased the heat to medium-high because I want these to be crispy on the outside. There we go, looking good, nice and crispy. Time to turn them over. Very careful. The closer to the center they are, the better they fry. And we'll be taking these out and finishing them up in the oven real soon. I have turned off the heat, and now it's time to transfer these to our baking pan. Move a little closer so they don't get greasy. I should take a temperature. These have temp to 132 degrees, which means they only have to go into the oven for about 5 minutes because we want to get them up to about 155, 150. I'd like them less, but they're meatballs, so you want them cooked all the way through. So in they go. Our meatballs are out of the oven. They have temp to 160 degrees. And now we're gonna cool them down and make the rest of our ingredients for our Gyro flatbreads. Our oven is still on, and we have our pitas that are gonna be our individual Gyro flatbreads. And the first thing that's going on is some tomato sauce. Let's see what we got. We're gonna spread it around. Our sauce is down, and now we're gonna spread it with a little shredded mozzarella. Continue on till we're all done. Here's one of our Gyro meatballs, and we're gonna cut these into pieces and place them on top. I think 1 meatball equals 8 pieces, and that may be enough or not. We may have to do a little more. And it looks like we do. We're gonna need some more. Here comes our next one. This time I got 10 pieces. We want to put them crispy side up. Okay, now we got one more to go. Our meatballs are on, and I've got to say, these are probably the best meatballs I have ever made. And now, because we're Greek, we're going to sprinkle these with a little bit of red onion. They're probably going to only take 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll see what they look like when they... I had a chunk of feta in my freezer, and I was going to use this for something else. I was going to use this as one of the cold ingredients, but I think it'll be really fun to crumble this up and sprinkle it over the top of our flatbreads. So all crumbled up, all over my fingers, and now we're going on. A little sprinkle, make sure they stay on. Here we have our Gyro meatball individual flatbreads, and they're going in the oven. And let's see what they look like when they come out. This wasn't exactly what I had planned, but I think it's going to be awesome. I had more cucumber, and we had a Roma tomato. And what we're going to do, I was going to mix these with the feta and put them in a little salad and put them on top and then drizzle the whole thing with tzatziki. But I think I've changed my plan. Mix them up in a bowl. What I've decided to do is mix these vegetables with our tzatziki sauce. And that's going to be the topping for our Gyro flatbreads. That's going to make a nice little topping, flavorful, sweet, crunchy. And here is our flatbread topping. It's gonna be good. That did make a nice combination of flavors. So we're gonna put dollops of this on top of our flatbreads when they're done. Our Gyro flatbread, individual size flatbreads are out of the oven. Here we are on a plate, cut into snack size slices, and now we're gonna top it off. Here we go. A little dollop on each slice. And here we are, looking yummy. And now we're gonna take a bite. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Flatbread Friday. This was a fun one. This video might be long because there was a lot of steps to this. So I'm gonna take a bite off camera and I'll let you know how it is. So good. I am really gonna enjoy this one. And happy Flatbread Friday. We'll see you again soon.